you find that Israelis, okay, killing Palestinians,
Yes.
not only Muslims, but also, I mean, Christian Palestinians, okay?
And even Jews themselves.
Even
Yeah.
Jews.
They kill them
Yes.
on the Hannibal directive. They are prepared to.
Yes, in the recent
kill themselves.
clashes, okay, they attacked 1 or 2 synagogues, I mean, Jewish
Yeah.
synagogues in
In
Tehran,
Tehran.
and killed many Jews in Tehran,
Yes.
okay? So we find that, okay, they don't have any mercy toward anybody else, okay?
Hello, good day. Welcome to another episode of Hard Question with me, Ata, the host of this program. In today's episode, we will discuss the historical background of the famous sentence of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, someone like me will never pay allegiance to someone like Yazid, and the link that might exist between this historical sentence and today's world, especially the character of the martyred leader of Islamic Republic of Iran, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei. For this purpose, I have 2 guest speakers in the studio, Sayyid Samra Hakim and Dr. Muhammad Reza Fakhrouhani. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid. Welcome to the show.
Assalam
And Dr. Fakhrouhani.
Assalamu alaikum.
So, Dr. Fakhrouhani, as a linguist, as a researcher in Hussaini literature, please give us exactly the historical background of this famous sentence of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Where did he say such a sentence and what was his main purpose?
Yes, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa bi nasta'in. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. The historical background of this historic sentence of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, not historical, but historic sentence of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, goes back to the moment that when Muawiyah died and Yazid, as the new usurper of the rights of the Ahlul Bayt, sent a letter to the Umayyad governor of Medina. Because those cities were under the political dominance and domination of the Umayyad governor. Al-Walid bin Utbah bin Abi Sufyan, who was a close relative of Yazid, was the governor of Medina. Then Yazid urged Al-Utbah bin
Walid.
Al-Walid,
Yes.
Al-Utbah bin Walid bin Abi Sufyan to obtain Imam al-Hussein's recognition, official recognition at once. And then he summoned Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam to the governor palace over there in Medina. Well, because Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam knew well the whole situation, Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam never went to that place alone. Rather, he took with him around 15 or 12, brave people, brave men of Bani Hashim together with himself, and told them in advance that if I raise my voice, you have to rush in the room.
So
and
that he might be
intervene.
assassinated or something.
Yes.
Okay. That's
And
right.
then when Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam was proposed with the question, with the
Offer.
with this order to recognize Yazid at once and on the spot over there, Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam made this historic sentence, مثلي لا يبايع مثله or مثلي لا يبايع مثل Yazid. A person, Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam never said, I don't agree with him, I don't pay allegiance to him. He said, such a person like me never recognizes such a person like Yazid, or never recognizes Yazid. And it goes back to the point that these 2 lines are totally different from one another. The line of Bani Hashim and the Ahlul Bayt on the one hand, and the line of the usurpers of the rights of the Ahlul Bayt, the Umayyads, on the other hand. So we come to the conclusion that it wasn't just a single sentence, it was a whole political statement from which we may infer the whole political side of the Ahlul Bayt.
Very good.
Yes.
I will get back to you about more historical details regarding this sentence and how was this sentence a kind of a strategy for Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, or a kind of we can say identity. I'll get back to you about more historical details regarding this sentence. But Sayyid Samir, now this is interesting that Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam says someone like me will not pay allegiance to someone like Yazid, and 2 methods, 2 identities, 2 different lines, as Dr. Muhammad Reza Fakhrouhani called it. So what are those 2 lines? Just define it for us, because when we are talking about this line, it has a rich legacy and background, okay, and it will be continued up to the future.
Yes.
It is not something very much time limited.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Once again, السلام عليكم.
My honor.
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين. This sentence here, as was noted, he didn't say, I do not pay allegiance to Yazid. He said, someone like me does not pay allegiance to someone like Yazid. Why that is important is because, like the Holy Quran, which is full of lessons, full of stories for us to contemplate on, and full of parables and similes for us to be able to learn morals and lessons from, to be able to apply to our world today, to our modern world today. This statement in of itself is an eternal statement as well, and it's a lesson for us. It's a practical manifestation of the Holy Quran. What Imam Hussein alayhi salam is saying here is that don't just take me as an individual, as the grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's not going to pay allegiance to Yazid, the individual.
Right.
No, this is a lesson for all time. So when we come to 2026, and we have an oppressor and a tyrant and the Epstein class on one side, and we have another side who is fighting for truth and fighting for the oppressor, it will become a lesson for us to take from Imam Hussein, to apply it in today's world, to say that these truth fighters will not pay allegiance to those who are oppressors and tyrants. Someone like me will not pay allegiance to someone like him.
That's right. So, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, so in this way introduced himself as a continuation of a path of righteousness, which I think again is not limited only to Prophet Muhammad as the seal of the prophets. I mean, even before that, we could see this line of goodness continuing from day one, from Prophet Adam, maybe to Prophet Muhammad, and then to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and then we'll go on up until now, Imam al-Mahdi ajalallah. And the other line too, the satanic camp, which existed from day one, still going on, getting to Yazid, and this will go on. This has so many lessons that it will not stop over there. It is not specified to or limited to a specific time, for example, 61 AH, now Hussein and Yazid. In so many eras and so many we can say other occasions, we could see such examples. Epstein class 2026 is one of them, Dr. Fakhuhani. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
So, give us. I'll be happy if you give us more features of these two camps, the camps of truth and the camps of falsehood. What are the main features of these two? Imam al-Hussein in one camp, and the other Yazid and his army in the other camp.
Yes. As we see, the character traits of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam he inherited them right from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a noticeable and mark-worthy characteristic of all divine prophets, that they don't think about their own personal benefits. They think about the benefit of the whole religious community, ummah. Okay?
Yes.
The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was in Mecca, and after his historic migration from Mecca to Medina, where he was the head of the Islamic State, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and likewise Imam Ali alayhi salam, when Imam Ali alayhi salam was in Kufa, was in power, both of them lived a very, very simple life, so that when they got outdoors, people who never saw them before couldn't recognize them, that this is the Prophet or this is Imam Ali. Okay. Likewise, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was so much kind with everybody, even with his own servants. Such a personality like Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam never thought about his own leisure, his own benefit, his own comfort, or the comfort of his own family.
So let's put it in the context. So you mean this ongoing confrontation between Haqq and
yes,
Batil,
I'm going to mention
what's going on, and Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam only considered himself as a person, as a practitioner of this rich legacy of God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the divine
Yes,
narrative.
and on the other hand, you find that the Umayyads, wherever they were very selfish people, and they mostly thought about their own benefits, even transitional and transitory benefits.
Right.
Please note well that it was one of the requirements of performing Hajj. To wear ihram.
Yes.
Okay. It wasn't devised by the Prophet Muhammad. It was devised by the Prophet Abraham.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yet historically speaking, when the ancestors of Umayyads were in power in Mecca, and for some time, for a short period of time, they were custodian of the Kaaba. They said that whoever wants to perform Hajj, either he buys ihram or Hajj robe from us, or he or she should perform the Hajj ceremonies naked. Okay, this is quite funny. Okay, they were so selfish. Okay, and there are many Quranic verses in the Holy Quran. There are many Quranic verses that refer to the period when the Umayyads were in power. Before the advent of Islam. أجعلتم سقاية الحاج وعمارة المسجد الحرام كمن آمن بالله واليوم الآخر. It refers to the ancestors of the Umayyads. So you find that there are stark differences, very big differences between these two lines of thought and these two kinds of conducts or practices.
That's it. So, such a person, like Imam Hussain alayhi salam, so when he is faced by such an offer or order, as you said, that now you must pay allegiance to the so-called ruler of the time, the king of the time, this is not now a personal offer or question. He is not going to understand it personally speaking at the individual level, but now a worldview is at play and at work. And I think that this is an ontological, identity now that Imam Hussain alayhi salam is going to show to the world. The same story, took place after the Islamic Revolution of Iran, and of course before that, during all these years from 61 AH till now, we had so many examples during the history of the world and the religions that the people were influenced by the character of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, his movement, the lessons that were taken, and then still going on, and it will go on. One of the best examples might be, for example, the late Imam Khomeini, when he was establishing Islamic Republic of Iran, Islamic Revolution of Iran. One of the main roots of this establishment was Imam Hussein's movement. And we could vividly see that in the manners and in the behaviors of the martyred leader of Iran, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei. So, the lessons and it's better to say the points that are taken from these maybe short span life of a person named Imam Hussain alayhi salam is going to affect the whole history of humanity. And maybe it is not limited only to the Shias or the Muslims, but the whole humanity can benefit from that. So can we still apply them in today's world, and how the late Ayatollah Khamenei applied it in his lifestyle as a leader of the Muslim Ummah and an important Islamic land like Islamic Republic of Iran?
Yes, well, if you have a look at the overall ultimate goal that they have, as you said, it's not, as Dr. Farhani said, that it's not a personal goal. This is not about me. This is about a larger goal. What is the larger goal? What is the goal of the Ummah, of the Islamic Ummah? One of those goals is to actually have the divine narrative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You be the victor of that.
Yes.
Is to show the other side as being the oppressor, the enemy as the oppressor, to break that sort of grandeur that they have, to win the hearts and the minds of the people through the correct, rightful, honest narrative. And so it does apply to today's world. And people are thirsty in today's world, right here, right now. People are thirsty. They're seeing that this capitalism that they have is not working. People are hungry, people are in poverty. There is a select few, 1%, who are very rich, and the rest are struggling. So they're looking for alternatives. And for examples like Marxism and communism and all of those have failed before.
Yes.
Now, capitalism is the only alternative that they're going for. That's failing now.
Okay.
What is the alternative? And here, the Islamic Republic of Iran is stepping in and saying, we are the fighters of the oppressors. We are the fighters of tyrants. We are the voice of the voiceless.
Yes.
We are the ones who will sacrifice ourselves for the sake of those who are oppressed. We will fight those who are arrogant. And suddenly, the eyes of the world are looking at the Islamic Republic of Iran and saying, hang on a minute, there is an alternative. Let's have a look at this. What are they basing their teachings on? And suddenly, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his name becomes a universal name. And this has been going on for years, by the way. This isn't just a one-stop shop that it's happened now. No, this has been happening for 1400 years.
Okay.
People have been commemorating and making alive the name of Imam Hussein for all this time, year after year after year, especially in Ashura, especially in Arba'in. And this year, more eyes, more people are looking towards this name of Imam Hussein to understand what principle the Islamic Republic of Iran is using to fight this almost impossible battle that they've won or are winning. That looks like a David versus Goliath battle.
That's right. Okay. So just trusting this rich Islamic background and the history was very much emphasized by martyred leader Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei. Let's listen to him, okay, because he's exactly directing to this phrase by Imam Hussein alayhi salam and then giving us the definition of what does he mean exactly. Let's listen in Farsi language, and after that we will give it English translation to that too.
این حرفایی هم که رئیس جمهور آمریکا میزنه که من را اشاره خواهم کرد، گاهی تهدید میکنه، گاهی میگه باید فلان کار بشه، فلان کار نشه. این معناش این است که اینا در پی تسلط بر ملت ایرانن. ملت ایران درس‌های اسلامی و شیعی خودش رو خوب بلده، میدونه که چه کار کنه. امام حسین علیه السلام فرمود مثلی لا یبایع یزید، کسی مثل من با کسی مثل یزید بیعت نمیکنه. ملت ایران در واقع میگن مثل ما، ملتی با این فرهنگ، با این سابقه، با این معارف عالی به سردمدارانی مثل افراد فاسدی که امروز بر سر کارن در آمریکا بیعت نخواهد کرد.
That's it. This was part of the speech of Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei in his meeting with the people of Azerbaijan last year, just maybe
it was just before
some months before his martyrdom. So very much trusting, and what a loss, what a great loss, you know, that what a leader we missed, unfortunately. So he's very much putting the people of Islamic Republic of Iran in the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This is a big honor, okay? That, for example, you, after all these years, I mean, from 61 AH till now, more than 1,000 years maybe passed, but now, for example, in the modern 2026, a leader comes and introduces his nation as the nation of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. That the nation, so this shows that the story is going on. Dr. Fakhrouhani, I mean, so if you want to make the resemblance between the companions of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, that the people of Iran now who are in the camp of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam against the Yazids of our time, the so-called Epstein class, how do you picture them for us?
Yes. First of all, it must be indicated that such a kind of resemblance, in order to make such kind of resemblance, we must consider that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, first and foremost, Imam al-Hussein as an infallible dignitary, and then his loyal companions can hardly be compared 100% with Iranians. I mean, first of all, Imam al-Hussein was an infallible dignitary.
Yes. Okay.
And then the companions of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, they were suffering from all kinds of pressures over there. Likewise, we find that in the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Iranian nation not only Shias, but I mean the whole nation.
Yes.
I mean nationally speaking.
Yes.
I mean, we've been suffering from all unjustifiable international sanctions. Okay,
Yes.
please note well that sometimes if you want to search, for example, some academic websites, okay, you receive a note that okay you are contacting us from a country under sanctions.
Yes.
Okay, such a kind of sanction hasn't been experienced before. Okay. However, we find that in the Islamic Republic of Iran, people have been steadfast.
Yes.
They haven't yielded to the requests of America.
Yes.
Because we know that the Epstein camp. I mean,
Epstein class.
yes,
Yeah.
Epstein camp.
Okay.
I mean, they were devoid of any moral trait. Okay. And when they are in power, they only think about the transitory, I mean, enjoyments.
Yes.
And I mean, there are such kind of people, and they are totally ruthless people. On the other hand, we find that here, we as Iranians, we've been very much concerned with the not only situation of not only Shias, but the whole, I mean, people in our area, in our region, Lebanon, Yemen, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Iraq, and other places. So we find that, I mean, directly or indirectly, we've taken very important lessons from the role model of Imam Hussain and his matchless companions. On the other side, you find that the American administration, especially the scandalous Epstein category or Epstein circle, they've been following, I mean, directly or indirectly, the same path treaded by, the Umayyads in the past. I mean, several centuries ago.
And historically speaking, someone might say, okay, for example, United States of America as a civilization or so-called nation of 500 years or something like that. It's a modern country. What I said to do, for example, with a tribe, I don't know, more than 1,000 years ago. But it's still, the case is that this is not region-based or language-based. I mean, the satanic features, wherever they are, you can find the resemblance. From the other side, the good, divine, positive attributes of the men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can also be seen all across the world. Now, this shows that behind the scene, I mean, behind the names of Hussein and Yazid, or Epstein class and Ayatollah Sayyid al-Khamenei, something is going on. I mean, what is that stream going on, Said Samar?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, this has been going on for years and years. One of the examples that you mentioned was Nabi Adam alayhi salam. Now, very quickly here, a very short story is that Nabi Adam alayhi salam, when he passed on the wilaya to his son, Habil, Qabil didn't like that, and he ended up killing his brother. He actually had to leave. He left the area. Then when he heard that the wilaya or the guardianship was being passed on to Shaykh, okay, despite the fact that Qabil said, "Oh, I repent and I am so sorry and I shouldn't have done what I did and I'm going to evict myself," whatever. What he did was he sent a message to Shaykh saying that if you are going to be the wali and I'm going to have to obey you, then I'm going to come and do the same thing that I did to Habil. Which means what? Despite the apparent repentance that he was showing, the evil nature was ingrained in his heart. And this has been continuing throughout the history of mankind, up until we reach today, where the manifestation of evil is being represented by the West, headed by the United States of America, and the manifestation of good is being represented by the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Islamic Ummah.
That's right.
And this is what is going on in the background, as you say, is that this, while there is life on earth, good will fight evil and evil will continue to exist because this is the nature of a material world. They will continue to have this issue of good versus evil. Inshallah, we stay on the right path. One comment, if I can.
Yes, very good.
With regards to a very, very important comment that was made, was that we can't compare Imam Hussein alayhi salam with people who are alive today, right? Why? Because he's divinely guided, infallible, and all of those things. But when the martyr Hassan Nasrallah said that the Imam of Hussein of our time is Imam Ali Khamenei, a
Yes.
lot of people put their hands up in the air and saying you can't compare, right? This is, I don't know, like
Yes.
they were calling him
Yes,
names,
okay.
etc.
Okay.
But he didn't mean that he was infallible. He didn't mean that he was chosen, for example, in a particular way, divinely guided. No. What he does mean, though, is that Imam Ali Khamenei was the best manifestation
Yes.
of what Imam Hussein alayhi salam stood for,
Yes.
which in this case is fighting for justice
Yes.
against oppression.
And Shahid Rahbar, the martyr leader, has always emphasized on the role of the people rather than individuals. Okay, for example, one of his famous sentences said that "Mardom mab'us mishavand." Okay,
Yes.
I mean when the people
They
are
will
sent
rise.
down and they were given to this mission of enlightenment, and now we could see all these gatherings, for example, in defense of the flag and the honor of Islamic Republic of Iran. You could find that, for example, the role that the people have is really important. But historically speaking, since I know, and I've just begun to search about your researches regarding Husseini literature and movement, did Iranian people, or especially called Persians, had direct role in distributing and preaching Husseini culture more than the other nations all across the world, or not? I mean, it could be through literature, it could be through companionship, it could be through preaching or something like that. No.
Well, in order to answer your question, we have to look back. Okay.
I'm
Actually,
interested in looking back in the history. Okay.
but I'm very much interested in looking ahead.
Okay. All right. All right. We get to that too.
Yes,
That's
I mean, we use the past, our experience from the past, in order to make a road. For the future.
Future.
Yes. In this regard, I should like to say that, historically speaking, Iranians, the greater Iran,
Yes, Persia.
Iran,
Yes.
Persia.
That's right.
We find that quite a considerable number of the companions of the Ahlul Bayt were from this region.
Yes.
Okay, especially after the event of Ashura. Okay, among the companions of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam down to the companions of the rest of the infallible Imams, and especially during the short stay of Imam al-Riza alayhi salam in Persia. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
We find that quite a large number of Iranians had the honor of following the Ahlul Bayt, and in many cases some of important relators of hadith literature migrated from the Arabian parts like Hijaz or Iraq, or later on from Lebanon. They migrated to Persia. Okay, so we find that and on the other hand, you find that if you go farther, if you go to the Indian subcontinent, for example, present-day Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, okay, at least these three nations, you find that there are many Sayyid dynasties whose origins go back to Iran or to Iraq, for example, mainly to Iran. And they've been also very active in dissemination and dispersion of Husseini literature, in the world.
So what we see today, why am I asking? Because some of the Westerners who do not have this clear picture of the rich history and the legacy, this background of the Iranians might say, these are made up stories after Islamic Revolution of Iran 1979, okay? It's not. When you go and just look at the history, you can find out how Persians, Iranians, even before this new establishment in 1979, Islamic Republic of Iran, were known to the world by the name of Hussein and Husseini movement and the Mughawama, resistance. The resistance that we could see today has been repeated during the history of the Persians even before this establishment too. But now, the true manifestation, get back to its original place. With the true understanding of the leadership, who is an alim himself, who has this true understanding, knows the Islamic Shia culture truly, and knows how to apply it in the leadership and the government's system.
Excuse me, if you go to India, both, for example, in New Delhi, in Lucknow, in Hyderabad, if you travel to these cities, you find quite many historical buildings that are reminiscent of the influence of Shias.
Yes.
Okay. And wherever you go, you find that those people, even non-Muslims in the Indian subcontinent, were under the direct influence of Imam al-Hussein through their knowing of the Persian language. For example, there was a literary figure in India. His name was, if I remember his name, because I've had his book. He wrote a play, entitled Karbala. First, he wrote his play in the Hindi language, and then he translated it from Hindi into the Urdu language. He himself, it's a self-translation.
All right.
And then, quite 2 or 3 years ago, an English translation of this work came out, published by Oxford University Press in India.
Yes.
Okay. When I read the biography of that Hindu personality, I found out that he once he recognized that there was going to be some racial or some other types of conflicts in India between Shias and Hindus.
Right.
He intervened, and although he was a Hindu, but as he knew several languages, including the Persian language, he developed his work on Karbala and entitled it Karbala. And through doing this, he came to a compromise between Shias and Muslim on the one hand, and Hindus on the other hand. You find that the influence of Karbala, not only religious influence, but the even political influence and other cultural influence of Imam al-Hussein as-salam is really very vast and has been very deep, not only in Iran or Iraq or Lebanon, but also in other lands. Likewise, for example, even when Fatimids were in power in Egypt and in northern Africa, you find that the Fatimids were very zealous in, to celebrate Ghadir and Ashura, both of them. Okay, so you find that wherever you go, even right now, if you go to Morocco, even if you go to Spain, to southern Spain, where Muslims were, you find examples and specimens of Husseini literature in their own languages and dialects.
Okay, so the same story is happening today. It is repeating itself. On a repetitive circle, you can find that still there are some countries who are defending Husseini movements. There are some people who stay silent, okay? And for example, in case of Gaza, Palestine, in case of the Zaya American attacks against Islamic Republic of Iran, they stayed silent. And they had this complicity hand in hand with the United States of America. So can we call them the modern Kufans? Because the Kufans invited Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, based on their offer and invitation, went there, and all of a sudden he was left alone. And the armies that killed Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam were so-called Muslims. They were Muslims. So today we could see that those who are defending the rights of the oppressed all across the world, including the people of Palestine, Lebanon, and who ties its negotiations with another country? Iran did, even in the deal that is made, or in the memo that is signed between Iran and the United States of America. Lebanon is the first one.
First condition.
There's no new name of Iran but Lebanon, okay?
Yes.
So tie it. So that's it. Can we make such similarities and resemblances between the two today?
Historically, like you said, it's history on repeat. And even if we have a look at the Holy Quran, when we look at the lessons from the Holy Quran, the stories of the Holy Quran, there's always 3 groups of people. Those who are fighting for what is right, what is justice, what is the divine cause, and those who are satanic in nature, who are oppressors, who are tyrants. Okay? There's another group of people who are in the middle. Okay? So they either don't want anything to do with this,
All right.
or they tell the fighters against oppressors, the rightful one,
Yes.
they tell them, they might even be on the same camp,
Yeah, I know.
but they tell them,
It's better stop.
just stop it, man. Just let us be.
Let's have your comfortable life. That's right. Okay.
So let us just be. It's interesting to note that in every single time that the middle group whether they're on the satanic side or in the divine camp, as long as they're complicit, which is the correct word that you're using here, as long as they're complicit, they end up being on the side that is the oppressor, tyrant, and they're the ones that get punished. So even if you stay silent and you say, you know what, I'm not going to say anything, this is political, this has nothing to do with me, I'm a good Muslim, I pray, I fast, I do Hajj, this is me, and I'm just going to look after myself, that's all what Allah wants from me. I'm not going to say anything about that because, for example, it's political.
This was the same mannerism that Imam Hussain alayhi salam criticized about that. For instance, the religion of Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, is not an individual type of personal type of religion. It is a collective congregational one. So it's so much of the core values that are embedded in the religion of Islam has to be manifested in your actions as a nation.
Yes.
I mean, and on and off, Imam Hussain alayhi salam refers that, okay, I am over there, I am out because I want to reform the ummah. And this ummah is very, very much important. Do we see any united ummah today?
Yes, of course, there's a united ummah. There is definitely a united ummah, and there's a disunited ummah. Just a comment about what you said with regards to individual. Whether religion is an individual religion or a community religion. It's actually both, an individual religion and a community religion, and we have to look at both.
But in cases like these cases of Gaza, Palestine,
it's a community.
Oppressor, it's a community one.
I have a personal, individual responsibility to serve the Islamic community in the best possible way. So again, there's that. But is there unity? In my opinion, in the coming years, inshallah, especially after the super fall of the superpower that is called America, and what's happening now and what will happen in the future, inshallah, what we'll see is that the Islamic countries, especially around the Gulf and those who are neighbors with the Islamic Republic of Iran, will come to realize that it is in their best interests to be united than disunited here. Whereas before they would rely on the American side, they now see that there's more interest in being united.
So I do believe that the same neutrality, as I said, I mean, being in the gray zone, 50-50 middle zone, okay. I mean, is repeating itself in today's world regarding the oppression that is committed, the genocide that is committed against people of Gaza, because you could see that, for example, we do not see any passive non-support, diplomatic non-intervention, economic non-sanctions, okay? And these make the genocide possible. These make the attacks against Islamic Republic of Iran from American bases in the region possible. I mean, so it's still going on. I mean, neutrality, as we could see at the time of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. I mean, so many Kufans stayed neutral. And of course, it needs its own separate discussion. What was the main reason? Imam Hussain alayhi salam once said that, so your bellies are full of haram mouthfuls, okay? This might be one of them. So, and that you are deviated from the right religion of Prophet Muhammad, pure Muhammadan Islam. So, and not long is passed after the demise of Prophet Muhammad. I mean, Imam Hussain is the grandson of Prophet Muhammad, and you could see such a deviation. So, this neutrality still is endangering the Muslim Ummah, Dr. Fakhruhani.
Yes. Actually, looking back to the Holy Quran, we find that in the Holy Quran there are several instances of Ashab al-Nar wa Ashab al-Jannah. Okay? Right and wrong. Okay? There isn't any, middle ground, okay, gray zone, okay, or, the region of indifference, okay? Right. Either we belong to the right side, or unfortunately we might belong to the wrong side, okay? In the case of the Prophet Abraham, you find that Abraham was one person, but who withstood against the wrong line, okay? And because of this, he has been described as Ummah. Okay, he himself was a nation, a religious community in himself, okay?
So, this is a justification made by some groups of the people who want to act Islamically at the same time not being committed to the core values of Islam?
Yes, some people,
because they are indirectly helping the camp of Batil against those good people, but somehow give justification that the new geopolitical, we can say, ties and all these economic ties of the modern world do not let us help, for example, Palestine or Islamic Republic of Iran?
No, what you say is right, but I think, up to what degree can a person remain indifferent? Okay, at the cost of what? Okay, you find that Israelis, okay, are, killing Palestinians,
Yes.
not only Muslims, but also, Christian Palestinians, okay, and for example,
And even
when
Jews themselves.
even Jews,
They kill
yes.
themselves on the Hannibal directive. They are prepared to.
Yes, in the recent
kill themselves.
clashes, okay, they attacked one or two synagogues, Jewish
Yeah.
synagogues in
In
Tehran,
Tehran.
and killed many Jews in Tehran,
Yes.
okay. So we find that, okay, they don't have any mercy toward anybody else, okay. Because of this, we as human beings, we cannot remain indifferent, okay. Please note well that, okay, when it comes to the lives of people, not Muslims, to the lives of people, we have responsibility. Historically speaking, when Imam Hussain was advancing toward Kufa, when the first Umayyad army came to stop his way, to prevent him from
Yes.
reaching Kufa,
To block it,
and
that's right.
Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, when Imam al-Hussein noticed that Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi and his army were all very thirsty and on the verge of
Collapsing.
collapse.
That's
Okay,
right.
Imam al-Hussein ordered his companions to give their own shares of water they had collected to the enemy forces. Okay, with this kind of mind, how can we remain indifferent to the fate of other Muslims and other people? Okay, this is absolutely impossible. Okay, this is ideology, and almost never.
And that's why so many people even join the army of Imam al-Hussein or the caravan of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam on his way from Medina to Karbala, okay?
Yes.
For example, the people who were never confronted Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, or for example, they were not familiar, let's say, with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, even one Christian, isn't it?
Yes.
Wahab was the Christian.
Wahab, yes.
That's, the newlywed one, we can say, who joined. Or the other people who, because of such humane behavior and the mannerism of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, joined the army of Imam and then got martyred on his way. So this shows that Husseini movement, the sacrifice that he made, is very much influenced by the divine values, by the godly values.
Yes.
And the godly values are not limited to any geography. You cannot say that, for example, the people of Palestine are this and that with this background, so their case is not related to us.
I want to say something. The Holy Quran says, "Man ahya nafsan faka'annama ahya an-nas jami'a." Okay, if you help someone survive as a human being, no matter his religion, okay, it's as if you have survived the whole human community.
Very beautiful.
Okay, this is the rule stated explicitly in the Holy Quran. With this kind of, with this, based on these measures, okay,
Yes.
it's very clear that, okay, where we are standing and where our enemies are standing, and there cannot be any middle ground between any difference zone, any
Okay.
indifference zone. Yes.
That's it. Okay. So what is the main reason that some so-called Muslim lands are still silent and they come hand in hand in blind complicity with the enemies of Islam? Or are they deceived or trapped or something? Because this twisted picture of the tribalism is given to them, that you are barbaric, so and so, and you need our so-called modern civilization.
Yeah.
And then by the same token and by the same clumsy excuse, they are going to have control over these lands.
Are they deceived? Are they trapped? These are all good questions. What narrative are they reading? What do they believe in when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I will send angels to protect you, you just take the first step, I'll take 10 steps towards you. All of those things. You have to look at the history of, for example, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, okay? So that's one history where he would tell his companions, right, at night, this is Tasu'a, the ninth day before the 10th
let go
day.
night.
The let go night,
That's
where he
right,
says to them, you've done your jobs.
Yes.
You may now leave. I can see you in heaven. Your place is guaranteed in heaven. You can leave now and save yourselves.
All right.
And they continue, and they, despite that promise and guarantee, what do?
To stay.
They stay.
That's right.
because not bec- you know, it's really interesting that when you're given the guarantee of being in paradise and yet you're offered to leave in the darkness of night and nobody will know who it was that left, right? Until the lamps are turned back on or the next morning, you have this opportunity to save yourself. The difference between the Husseini movement and those of the, let's call them the normal Muslim population. Is that they have embedded in their heart the divine narrative, the narrative that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in the Holy Quran. In tansurullah yansurkum. If you give victory to Allah, He will give you victory. وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. You do not grieve, do not be upset, because you have the upper hand if you are believers, right? If you have that narrative and if you have that understanding in your heart, then self-sacrifice. If you imagine being on the night of Ashura, and you have the opportunity to leave, but you don't, what do you see? You see a greater goal. Life becomes a playful thing. Life becomes an illusion. What is the main goal? What is the target? The target is to stand up for the principles that you have.
And sometimes when I took a look at some of the footage of the children of Gaza, for example, a little kid, a girl, or a boy, they speak, when they speak as firm as possible, they speak, as a fighter, an adult fighter.
Not as a victim.
Not as a victim. I mean, all you could see is power, all you could see is a steadfastness, all you could see is that I am the winner, I am the victorious. And the terms, I mean, this is how beautiful Husseini culture and Husseini discourse is going to, linguistically speaking, the Tafarqanism linguists. I mean, because sometimes we took only the words and we take the meaning for granted, But I believe that when, for example, a girl from Palestine in Arabic language is using some words in Arabic against Zionism, the whole Arab world is shaken. I mean, it's shattered apart.
And it's really interesting. Someone like Sanwar uses quotes from Imam Ali alayhi salam, and they use quotes from Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So
Sanwar, Shaykh Sanwar, that's right. So I mean, this wording was not simple wording. I mean, the words out of the mouth of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, all his way. I know that you have translated the beautiful book Imam Hussein alayhi salam, words from Medina to Karbala, and that is really great book. Really, my offer to go and read out that how Imam Hussein alayhi salam beautifully said such words. When he was safe, when he was unsafe. Even when he was at the last moments of his life. So all these words, I mean, the phrases, the sentences, the terms that are articulated by Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his companions seems to have roots somewhere else. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the linguistic aspect of the beautiful words of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. How do they influence today's narrative and discourse? As fresh as possible, like 61 AH.
Yes. First of all, I should like to say that various kinds of personalities. Some personalities try to influence and help their own community. For example, their own town, their own country, and their own nation, and so on. But some personalities come to help mankind. I mean, globally speaking. For example, of course, not 100% comparable, but it must be indicated that the world of science cannot forget the name of Pasteur, the French, scientist, because of, his, discoveries, because of his, academic sacrifice, scientific sacrifice, and so on. Not only for himself or for France, but for the whole world. Religiously speaking, and from the perspective of human rights, the whole world cannot forget the name of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because he sacrificed his own life in order to revive mankind, revive humanity in the world. So we find that the more high-ranking a person is, the more wide-ranging the perspective of a person may be, the more influential this person will be. Several years ago, I was reading a book. In the preface of the book, it was written that the world will soon forget the names of political leaders who ruled in their own nations for a short period of time, but history books will always repeat the names of great thinkers like Socrates, Plato, and I mean some so far, and I mean such figures.
Okay.
I should like to say that so long as the world exists, we cannot expect the name of Imam Hussein to be forgotten.
Yeah.
I have some personal experience of that. When I was talking with some Hindus, some Buddhists about Imam Hussein, although they were not very much informed of Imam Hussein like us, but they only heard just some sentences from Imam Hussein. I found them to be very much devoted to Imam Hussein, although they were not Muslims, although they were not, they didn't know anything about Tawheed, divine unicity. Okay, but they found out that this character was especially important because he sacrificed his own life and his peers sacrificed their own lives in order to revive mankind and humanity, globally speaking.
And this is why when United States of America and Israel started their attacks against Islamic Republic of Iran, they call it decapitation, isn't it?
Yes.
An epic fury, and they wanted to remove and delete the whole leadership and its commanders. But after 2, 3, 4 months, you could still find that the leadership is going on. I mean, commanders and the leaders martyred one after another, based on the culture of martyrdom that they have learned, as according to Shahid Rahbar said, that the Iranian people have learned their lessons beautifully from Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And now they are replaced by the other, we can say, commander or the leader or the successor coming. And still it's going on. I mean, it's going on as strong as before, maybe more strong than before. So, I mean, this culture of martyrdom, the biggest miscalculation of the enemies of Shia Islam and the Husseini followers is this: they don't understand the culture of martyrdom among these people.
Yes, indeed.
They think that because for them life is not a mundane materialistic blessing or gift which is given to them as a human being. This is something as a trust in their hands. If they're gonna spend it in the way of Allah and being sacrificed on His way, and that's the way it is very much rewarded. I'll be happy with you, Said Samar, just talk a little bit about this miscalculation that is being repeated.
Well, they're very afraid of three things
Yes.
when it comes to the Islamic world. They're afraid of marja'iyya, the issue of having an ultimate scholar who has this, you mentioned it,
Authority,
the
religious
authority,
that's
jurisprudential
right. Yes.
authority.
Yes.
The issue of Mahdawiyya, the
Really?
Messiah that will return, and the issue of Arba'in, of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. You put these three together and you have one word, which is martyrdom, self-sacrifice,
Yes.
which is, they are very afraid of this.
All right.
And their miscalculation, as you put it, is that every time they strike a leader thinking that they've achieved something, their blood spills and fertilizes the nation and the ummah further, and the younger generation come and take their place.
Very good.
When they martyr one and 1,000 pop up.
Yes.
Right? They martyred Hassan Nasrallah. Thousands of Lebanese rose. Right?
Yes.
They more and more began to love him. They martyred Imam Ali Khamenei.
Yes.
The entire nation rose,
Yes.
united.
Yes.
Right? A regional war broke out, something they didn't expect. All of these are miscalculations on the side of the enemy, and they do not realize, as they still do not realize what happened to Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala and what is going on. They've tried to get rid of this man who was a threat to their government, and they enslaved their family.
Yes.
They took them as slaves and walked them all the way to Sham, and in their court of Yazid, a young woman comes up and speaks
Yes.
to the men who are there in a powerful way.
In such a masculine atmosphere, how femininity of Zainab al-Kubra is going to influence the court over there, up to an extent that I've heard maybe Yazid ordered to silence her,
Yes.
so that not so much is told about, for example, our vicious behavior.
Exactly,
Yes,
and
okay.
then when Imam Sajjad alayhi salam
Yes.
was asked who has won this war, he said, wait a minute, and then the adhan was called, and then when they get to Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah,
Yes.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, he says they tried to kill this and they haven't, so we have won.
Mhm.
And this is what's happening. They're trying to kill Islam, they're trying to kill
Yes.
this ummah that we have, but what's happening instead is that they're fueling
Okay.
the motivation behind the
So,
Islamic ummah.
if Zainab al-Kubra's speech in the court of Yazid was the turning point of Karbala, what is and who is the Zainab of today? I mean, it is not necessarily the women's side and the feminine side, because so many men, strong men, were influenced by the character of Lady Zainab al-Kubra too.
Actually, each and every personality in the history of Karbala and Ashura can find reinterpretation in our today history.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
We find that the same spirit of withstanding, oppression and opposition against the right side of the right line can be found in our time. For example, you find that many people lost their beloveds in such recent attacks
Yes.
by Israelis and Americans. But you find that from a single lady, for example, who has lost his father, brother, husband, sons, daughters, comes
8 members of her family were
8
lost.
members
Yes.
of her
Yes.
family, and comes and says, "Yes, I'm steadfast in my position, and I want to confront Donald Trump." Or, for example, Netanyahu, two
Okay.
major Satans of our time.
Yes. Okay.
Okay? From where have we taken this lesson? Definitely from Ashura, definitely from Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha. And this line cannot be stopped, okay? I'm sure that this line cannot be stopped. Several years ago, I guess it was around 30 years ago, I was talking with a British professor who came to Tehran. And in answer to one of his questions, I said to him that you cannot understand our nation, you cannot understand Iran unless you understand Karbala and Ashura. He said, yes, it belongs to the past. I said, yes, it belongs. Yes, the whole event of Ashura belongs to the past, but its effect continues throughout the history.
That's it. Okay.
So it's an ongoing story, and it gets, repetitions and reinterpretations. Yes.
That's it. And Alhamdulillah, the Islamic Republic of Iran helped very much in preaching, the true spirit and the meaning and the core values of the Husseini movement all across the world. We talked about the Arba'in procession, Arba'in walk. It is very much welcome in the recent years. From all sides of the world. Maybe the biggest procession, the religious one in the whole world. It has records. And the case is that sometimes, as you said, the enemies of Islam and the Shia don't understand who is behind the scene. Husseini spirit is behind the scene, and all these values that are in the movement of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Sayyid Samir, any final remarks?
I want to just send my commiserations
Yes.
to the Islamic Ummah, to all of the Muslims on the events of Karbala, and inshallah we take lessons from
Inshallah.
our master and apply them to our everyday life, inshallah.
Inshallah. Latifah Rouhani, any final remarks?
We hope to remain in the line of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and not to be deviated to other false lines. Thank you.
Inshallah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Zafar Rouhani, Sayyid
Thank
Samar Hakim,
Thank you.
for your presence in the program Hard Question. Thank you very much, dear viewers, for watching us, Hard Question, with me, Ata, the host of this program. Till another episode, another Hard Question. God bless you all. Fi aman Allah.